All right, so Zack and Dane here with Home Life Green Team Real Estate. How not to be indecisive, I guess, about purchasing real estate.
What information do you need to make an informed decision on a real estate investment? We're trying to convince you don't need everything. And that's, from our experience in the industry, from observing other people in the industry, we think indecision holds people back a lot. This isn't like a salesy video. This is more of just like when your agent tells you, I think this is a good move for you, this is a good first one or second one, you'll be, in the know, what you need to know before you make the yes or no.
First point that we're just going to talk about a little bit is the cap rate. You probably heard about that.
Yeah, I put cap rate because it seems to be like the hottest thing right now. Everyone's talking about cap rate. What's the cap rate? We both know that there are problems with cap rate. Usually beginners focus more on cap rate. And it's based on expenses that are provided by the seller.
Yeah.
So two problems with that. One, hopefully they are correct. You also don't know that they are going to be the same.
Yeah.
The other thing cap rate relies on is rents. So if you plan on doing improvements or changing the rents, it's pretty much useless.
Yeah, it's useful for, I guess, a quick analysis of is this property worth looking at further? If you're just glancing at a bunch of listings to help sift through them, to kind of see, this looks like a really nice one if it has a higher cap rate than another one,
I would agree. And comparing one property to another, like you're saying, sifting through, pretty useful because it's very quick to calculate.
Good old 1% rule. Everyone talks about this one. So 1%.
Maybe it's the 2% rule where you live.
Yeah, it depends where you live. Yeah, that would be awesome. 1% rule. Everyone talks about how they want to have the gross monthly rents be 1% of the cost of the property. So if you have a duplex that's bringing in $2,000 a month from tenants, you want to have the price be $200,000. Or lower, yeah. So because that's 1% of the purchase price. If the 1% rule is met, this is probably a good deal.
I would say 1% rule is fast. You can calculate it quickly in your head.
Very fast, yeah.
It ignores expenses,
yeah.
Which for the reasons we mentioned before, sometimes it's not useful to know the expenses that have been previously reported.
Yeah.
And it should be a market-wide thing. The gross monthly rents in relation to the prices of property should be comparable across the market.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas cap rate is going to vary quite a bit.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Again, it's very misleading because it's whatever they're getting right now for the rents. So just because that's what they're getting now doesn't mean that's at market rent. Mm-hmm. And then the expenses. So it's a good quick thing. Again, those are both cap rate and 1%. A good quick when you're looking at a bunch of properties. So
basically just two things you need.
Yeah.
Cap rate is NOI, net operating income, and the price.
Yeah.
And cash, it's 1% rule is gross monthly rent and the price. So pretty easy, simple, quick and dirty. I think especially people that have been in the industry longer are more qualitative. This kind of thing might annoy them a little.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cash on cash return. So this is my favorite metric.
Yeah, cash. I think it's most people, that's the most important thing. They're buying real estate for the most part because they want something that's giving them money every month, right?
Yeah. Cash on cash return, you'll notice, actually does account for financing.
Yeah.
The other ones do not.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Cash on cash returns are awesome right now because the interest rates are so low, which affects the financing cost. Pretty much everyone, financing does affect them. These other two methods we talked about don't talk about financing. Even people we know don't love it because it doesn't include principal reduction. Your overarching goals, it just is a month-to-month thing.
Yeah.
So.
Cash on cash. This is definitely. It's not a quick something you can do in your head right away.
No.
Because Zach said, you have to calculate your mortgage payment. This is after your operating expenses and your debt serviced, what money is left over versus the amount of capital you put in. So, for example, your down payment any other capital initially invested,
Yep.
what percentage of that are you getting back on straight cash in your hand? Yeah, I mean, it's a longer thing to calculate, but definitely that's something very important to most people. That's why they're buying real estate, is because they want another income source. So
Yeah, they want a cash return.
yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about management fees.
Yeah.
If you're investing here remotely, for some reason the first country that came to my head was Pakistan. You could be investing from Toronto or Pakistan. It would be pretty much the same process if you go ahead and get a property manager.
Yeah.
But obviously that comes with a cost.
Yeah, management fees, they vary. I mean, we have different people we can connect you with. Most people between 8 and 10% the gross monthly rents.
Okay.
There's a lady that does $50 a door, just flat fee,
Mm-hmm.
that I know. So
A percent is pretty typical.
yeah.
I would say it's important to account for a management fee, especially if you're investing remotely, like I said.
Yeah.
Just be realistic. Like, you should account for that.
Yeah. You don't want to be managing it yourself, for sure.
Okay, let's talk about snow removal, garbage, vacancy, and possible rent increases all in one.
Trash.
If you're a bigger building,
yeah.
you won't have roadside garbage,
Mm-hmm.
so you need to pay like monthly
Contractor.
or bi-monthly. Yeah.
Pick it up, yeah. So those are things you can make sure you take into account, of course. Right now in Sudbury, vacancy rates are really low.
Like 0.
Yeah, pretty much 0, as long as it's at market rent.
Yep.
And then rent increases in Ontario, it changes every year what you can do, and it depends on the government.
If it was a fair world, this year the rent increase should be like 20%.
Yeah.
Because inflation.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
4%.
Yeah, it's probably going to be pretty low.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just one thing that, again, is like cash on cash, it's difficult. You can't just calculate it quick in your head, but the principal pay down, rate of return. If you're not buying in Sudbury, but if you're buying down south, like, you're not finding too much cash flow in properties that you're buying off the market. So you are buying it for that principal reduction, rate of return.
Yeah, because the cost of financing, will push you over the edge of getting a positive cash flow, but you're still like gaining a return.
Yeah, because a percentage of your mortgage payment is going to your debt that you're paying down, a percentage is for interest. So that debt is like, a little savings account.
You can't necessarily access it right away, but could be,
For sure, yeah.
could be a lot of money.
Long game, yep. Next topic, second of the 3, is physical condition of the property. This is something Zach is more expert at, is because he has a lot of experience in construction and doing all that stuff. So
The absolute best way to determine the physical condition, if it's up to par, is to go to the property yourself. We're going to talk about a bunch of other things you could do.
Oh yeah.
And I would say that's one of the biggest benefits of Sudbury over, some of the other rinky-dink markets, is like, it's not that far away. You don't want to be coming here every day. 3 hours, drive, 4-hour drive is pretty far, but it's accessible on a level that you can see properties, coming up here 2 or 3 times to inspect a property yourself. It's not out of reach. Nothing that we're going to mention next is to that level. Like, it's as useful as going to the property yourself.
Yeah.
And seeing, what condition it's in.
Obviously, like, you're gonna pay a premium for something that's in good, like, prime condition, right?
Yeah.
But good condition, like, none of the floors are like sagging. The building structurally is pretty good. If there's some cracks in the foundation, it's all good. In Sudbury, that's a pretty...
Is that going to affect someone's, like, experience renting the property?
No, that's the question you asked, right? You want to have your home inspector to check that stuff out, of course, so you're all taken care of, but just for yourself.
Yeah, some people have, everyone has different standards. Some people is like, I will never buy and rent a building that's not, like, I wouldn't live in myself. Well, that's very subjective to, like, what you would consider is good enough. Not everyone has the same standard as you. I think you're excluding yourself from a lot of opportunity. And I'm not suggesting you buy, like, the worst possible properties and rent them out for the most possible money. I'm saying there's a certain level after which you don't really see a financial benefit.
Yeah.
From like over renovation is a problem. Something that we've been doing for a couple years now is the Matterport tours, and we just recently started doing floor plans. Again, this is like I think this is a quicksand for beginners, especially the floor plans. They kind of will overanalyze. They'll say, but the square footage or this and this. Would you say square footage is important versus like number of bedrooms/bathrooms? Important.
Yeah, number of bedrooms and bathrooms for sure.
Like that's what the rent is determined by.
Yeah.
One bedroom that's 1,000 square feet might get a little bit more than a one bedroom that's 800 square feet, but we're not talking like as big of a difference with.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of my thing. Matterport tours are great. Like I think we should do them for every property. We're still, getting there. It's a process. They're pretty labor intensive.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty intrusive as well. Like especially if they're tenanted, it can be a little difficult because people, need their privacy.
Mm-hmm.
Matterport is not as good as going to the property yourself, but it's still pretty good.
A little bit better than pictures, but
yeah,
at the same time, nothing's going to replace you seeing it in person. So some people are comfortable just with pictures and videos and to put an offer in and then coming up to see it, which in this market, you got to be quick. So
yeah, it could help you make a nimble, quick decision.
Yeah.
Make an offer kind of thing. I think what people need to understand, we're in the industry, I think we become a little numb to this, especially videos, but also pictures. They are marketing tools. They're not meant to necessarily benefit the buyer. They are meant to benefit the seller. They are meant to market the product, meant to show the product in its best condition.
For videos that are they're the listing video.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes I'll go into a building for a client that can't make it up that weekend or before an offer date or whatever, and just kind of throw my camera around.
Yeah, just it's pretty bad quality, but just me holding my camera on my phone and going around just to give people an idea of what it looks like on the inside, because most of the time there aren't pictures, right? Or there aren't Matterport, so it's an easy way to just help get a layout of the building and whatnot. Does it look decent? What kind of upgrades can I do to refinance, things like that,
And I'll just kind of look around and make some commentary as I'm walking through. And sometimes that can be useful.
Yep.
That can be useful.
I think for most investment properties, you want an inspection, especially if you yourself are experienced in that regard, where you don't feel like you need one and you've seen the place and it looks good to you. I know most people do, I'd say 95% of the time, want an inspection done.
Yeah, most people do.
Yeah, a single family home, I feel like it's less common to order
now
an inspection.
Yeah.
With this whole offer situation, right? So you're trying to make your offer look the best, so the less conditions, the better. You have a professional that you can trust to look at every little detail of the property. Wow, how's the roof, leaks, furnace, hot water tank.
even things you don't think about.
Right, yeah. The little stuff. They're really super detailed in everything. Check the water, all that jazz. Pretty beneficial so that you know what you're buying, right?
Absolutely. And, I would say, as a caveat, just because you get an inspection doesn't mean nothing will ever go wrong.
No,
with the property. That's not what the purpose of them is. If you talk to a property inspector, they're going to be the first one to admit, they cannot find everything. If there is something beyond, a physical barrier, they will not be able to inspect that. They're basically visual, and then, a few technical things like electrical, they can tell if the circuits are grounded correctly. Maybe they can see visual cracks on things and kind of make an assumption, but they're using their experience and their best judgment. An inspection is mostly a visual, once over. Most likely this is not a problem. Most likely this is a problem. It's not a definite thing.
Yeah, helps you be aware of everything.
that's why it's important to get one that is like experienced, that has been doing inspections, because like you said, a lot of it's based on their opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they can't
100%.
for sure know every time.
No. What your feeling of something is in good condition is different than someone else's opinion of it.
Maybe it's
right
on a camera, it's different than in person.
Camera, it's different than in person. For example, there might be one property that like is a total piece of junk, looks like trash, but someone else is saying, oh yeah, not a big deal. Like there's just, I can fix the deck, you know? Looks like a solid building, whereas someone else might think, I don't want to touch that. It looks like total trash, you know?
As you become more experienced in real estate, or an investor becomes more experienced, do you think they become more or less occupied with the physical condition of their properties?
Oh, less for sure. Because they know, like, buying a used car, you know? If you want something like that's perfect, buy a vacant lot and build your own, you know?
Yep.
Like, but with the used car, like, you know, you can't have a guaranteed thing. Like, you want to do your best to get, like, the best deal, like, analyze it, it's running good, all that jazz. But, like, at the end of the day, like, you're not buying it brand new, so you know tomorrow something could go wrong that you have to eat that cost, because that's just the nature of the game, you know?
Gets you from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Save a lot of money.
Right.
Make a lot of money.
All right, so the last section here on checking out properties is the tendency for real estate to appreciate over time. So we got some graphs here: triplex, duplex, and fourplex. And obviously you can see this is from like 2001 all the way till now, it's consistently gone up. There's been like occasional dips, little dips, and then up. So it looks like from 2013 all the way to 2018, it was pretty much the same. And then 2018, there was a pretty good rise. And then 2020 again, another steep rise in most stuff. Yeah, so like for the past 3 years or so, it's been a pretty good upward trend.
What I would say, like what you should take away from this, and this is not like publicly, you know, this is Sudbury Real Estate Board data that I've pulled and compiled myself, because I don't think we talk enough about this. This is 20 years. If you get a 25-year mortgage, this is basically what you should expect.
Yeah.
So like the average triplex, duplex, and fourplex were all in the $50,000 to $100,000 range in 2001. The average triplex, duplex, and fourplex were all in the $50,000 to $100,000 range in 2001. Like 20 years from now, do we expect it to be a completely different trend? Like, I would think it's going to be pretty similar.
Yeah.
Because over 20 years, you know, if you could go back in time, you would absolutely buy as much real estate as you can, because you know a $70,000 triplex in 2001 is going to be worth a median price or a mean price of over $300,000 in 2021. That's aside from any cash flow you're going to have, which we recommend that you do get a cash flow.
One thing that Doug always says that I like is like, because principal reduction, he says, is like, no one really thinks about that.
Yeah.
But like everything in the long game, like in Canada, your mortgage is for 25 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you buy $1 million property, in 25 years, you're gonna have $1 million.
Guaranteed, yeah. If it doesn't appreciate at all.
If it doesn't appreciate at all, if you're just thinking, okay, if I can buy, you know, $10 million properties, or one,
25 years down the road.
25 years down the road,
good.
It's gonna be paid off, and you're gonna have $1 million, not including your cash flow, the cash that you got out of it,
completely on its own,
not including appreciation, which is that's a really easy way to help you make a decision too. Is like, okay, if it's carrying itself and there's some cash flow, and I'm gonna hold this for the long term.
Absolutely, and I mean, I could have taken this graph from 1985 when they started collecting Sudbury real estate data to 2005. It'd be a very similar graph.
Yeah. How many people back in 2001 were like, oh, but that property is, 70 grand when
which is
I can
overpriced.
get this one for 50 grand, I don't
Yeah.
want to buy that, right?
Yeah, there's no way you could lose money
Yeah.
on that investment today.
Yeah.
Like even over 5 years, you look at the 5-year graph, there's no way you can lose on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think indecision holds so many people back. Where's the 2008 financial crisis credit crunch on this graph? It's like a tiny little,
Yeah.
downward turn. If you bought at the peak of the bubble,
Yeah.
you were probably underwater for like 12 months. After all, I mean, paying 20 or 25% down on a property might seem like a lot, but it does provide a cushion.
Right.
And you can rest easy knowing that you're not, you don't owe the bank more money than the property's worth.
Right.
Which is what we mean when we say underwater.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, realistic expectations are, if you're thinking, okay, I need to find, like, I'm not budging unless I get something with 1% rule or a 12% cap rate, 10% cash on cash return.
You could be waiting a while.
You could be waiting a while. Like, I'm not saying they're not out there, because they are. The right deal, like, you can make the right deal, right? With like, what are you gonna do to help raise rents or lower expenses to make the property what you want it to be? But if you're looking for this one on the market, check right off the gate, like, yeah, you're gonna be waiting a while. It's gonna take a lot more effort. But if you can find something that you can figure out how to make it the right deal, right?
Yeah, and I think when you see stuff selling like over asking price, I did a video just on this a couple of weeks ago. When you see something selling for over asking price, you should be asking yourself, what value are these people seeing in it that I'm not seeing in it?
Yeah.
Like, how are they assessing this differently? I guarantee they're not dumber than you. They're not being tricked. Like, they're just seeing more value in something than you do, and you have to kind of ask yourself, it's like, why are smarter people than me making this decision? How can I change my mindset to be more in line with these people?
Right.
And like, because they're doing something right. Lots of people getting wealthy in real estate. They're, I don't think it's through being hoodwinked or making wrong decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've already pointed out, it's very hard to make the wrong decisions over a long period. So.
Right.
We treat real estate, we treat it as an investment vehicle. When you buy like a new car, that's not an investment. That's an expenditure. Real estate is not in the same vein. You're expecting to financially benefit from this. People are successful, and we know people that are successful in real estate investing all the time.
Yeah.
They're not geniuses. They've just built up, several assumptions and a kind of system that they operate by. And it works really well. Like the little guy can succeed in real estate.
Hopefully that helps some. If you got any questions, you can comment below.
Take the first step. Give us a call. Shoot us an email. We'll get you the information you need. If you don't think that you're ready, you can always just reach out and ask us, and we'll be able to assess your situation.
Find us online at Home Life Green Team Real Estate Sudbury. Just type that into Google. And we specialize in multiple family. If you need to book a showing, you can call us here at the office, 705-674-7336.
Yep.